So for today's video, I'm going to take on probably the most holy of the sacred cows, which is this notion that the United States is a force for good in the world, or that we are exceptional, American exceptionalism. Um, I don't think America is necessarily the worst in the world. I think in terms of our morality, I think we're worse in the world because of our power. Uh, in terms of perpetuating evil, I should say. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be here recording on an iPhone in Yemen, most likely. Uh, probably a sure thing I wouldn't. Um, but we have to realize that the United States is the preeminent world superpower. And what have we done with that power? Well, I'll tell you what we've done with that power. Since World War II, we've killed around 30 million people. To put that in perspective, Hitler's Nazi Germany killed about 20 million people. Stalin's Russia killed 40 million. But that's just after World War II. If we look at what we did to the Native Americans, the estimates there are about 70 to 100 million. So, excluding all these other wars, you know what? No, I'm not going to exclude the most recent wars. The most recent wars, I'm going to round down and say we killed 1 million. We killed more than 1 million people in these wars. So, let's go with 131 million for Iraq, Afghanistan, post World War II, and the Native American genocide. So 131 million. Stalin's Russia killed 40 million. Hitler's Germany killed about 20 million. And Mao's China actually killed a lot more. They killed 60 million. So what we're up to is these three universally recognized evil empires killed about 60, 40, 20, 120 million. The United States, on the other hand, has killed at least 131 million. Yet we see ourselves as the moral leader. And I don't think that's true, because we still exploit the developing world through our multinational corporations. There's been story after story about American corporations going out and literally killing people, buying off governments to kill people so they can build manufacturing plants. And, you know, to a certain extent, I'm a hypocrite in all this because, you know, the product I'm using right now is manufactured in China basically through slave labor. Not saying that I'm on a moral high horse here, but I just think that the United States, this notion that the United States is a force for good is kind of insane when you boil it down to its most basic factors. And this is totally unrelated. I'm sorry for filming in this mode rather than horizontal. But also, look at how long we let slavery perpetuate. We've used capitalism, mostly laissez-faire, where we do it in other countries with almost no regulation. We've used slavery, we've used genocide to build us to where we are today. And yes, we have noble ideas. Some of them are noble ideas. But are those ideas uniquely American? I would suggest to you that they aren't. I would suggest to you that if you went to many European countries, like Scandinavia, for example, you would see quite a few similarities. Obviously, there's differences in terms of hate speech, which I totally disagree with. But you'd see a lot of similarities. In many ways, you'd see better implementations of social policy. We're the only industrialized nation that allows its sick to just die because they have no health insurance. And this problem's been addressed, but it hasn't been totally alleviated. We are the most imprisoned on the planet. We have the highest rate of recidivism on the planet. We kill with drone strikes innocent civilians, violating the rules of war, committing war crimes. Literally every living president has committed a war crime. I don't know if Jimmy Carter has, so I might be unfair to Jimmy Carter, but I know for a fact every other president has. And under any reasonable international system would be put on trial, not just removed from office, if they were found guilty, which there's overwhelming evidence. And then we idolize the very people who perpetuate these acts, which are the troops. And I get that not all troops are bad. I get that. But, okay. I can say Walmart's an evil corporation, right? I can say Walmart's evil. Most people would agree with me. While not saying, damn those Walmart employees. They're just sick people, and I hate them. That's kind of how I feel about the military. I believe the military is probably the greatest force for evil on the face of the planet. But that doesn't mean necessarily I hate every troop. I have friends that are in the armed forces, so I really can't. I know them too well. I know they're not bad people. But nevertheless, they are a cog in a system that is perpetuating evil around the world. So I don't think they should be worshipped for that. I think it's absolutely the wrong move to do so. And it just stuns me how many Americans are blind to this fact, that think we're number one. And I mean, right now, I'm looking at a flag being flown. Consider that flag holy, like it's a symbol of goodness for the world, when so many people on Earth, when they see that flag, their instant gut reaction is actually fear. And Americans they just don't see this. Most of them don't. Every time I point this out, the shit hits the fan. But, wow, that was a loud bird. But let the shit hit the fan. I'm right. You can look over anything I said. It can be fact-checked. Just think about it for once. Just think about whether or not the United States is really a force for good on the planet.